lost my husband to suicide. I think for 2 years I pretty much shut down, and then in the third year I decided I was going to hit one of my bucket list items.
I had a really bad year. A lot of things happened to me. I had 2 car accidents, ended a relationship, and I decided to sell my house and my business and my car and start traveling.
Hello Kankas, welcome back to an episode with me. This time in English, first time my interview. The interview is about women who travel alone, who lost everything they had and started the healing journey, who sold everything they had and started a finding yourself journey, and about women who just love to travel, share their experiences with you. What was important to me was to show you it's not that difficult or hard or bad or expensive as you're maybe thinking. As I said, this is my first interview, so if you have any ideas, tips, comments, make sure to drop it below in the comments. Just watch, listen and follow.
Hi, my name is Gail. I'm from Canada and wandering aimlessly at the moment in Thailand.
So tell me, what do you do in Canada?
The list is long, but I have a farm, and on that farm I run an Airbnb. We have horses, goats, chickens, and I have a happy garden.
What's your happy garden? Show us your happy garden.
So here we go. This is a picture of 2 years ago, and cannabis is legal in Canada, and so I started growing a couple plants. We're allowed 4, that's around 4, and yeah, so I've always enjoyed cannabis, and now I grow it. I make butter. I make oil for. Also, I make all sorts of fun stuff.
So you told me that you're working on a special retreat. Can you tell us about this retreat?
Oh, sure. It's a 420 weekend. We haven't named it officially yet, but what I want to do is I want to bring in speakers from everything from growing, from starting your plants, on nutrition for the plants, things that you can, harvesting, cooking, all of the medicinal effects. So it's going to be a pretty fun weekend.
Nice. Why do you think wheat is important to us, and what kind of benefits do you see in wheat?
Wow, that's a big question. There's just for me, I had life threw me a pretty big curve a few years ago, and I was looking at a bottle of antidepressants and I was looking at a pile of pot, and I decided for me, I wanted to try the cannabis, and if I couldn't manage my trauma and manage myself, then I was kind of giving myself permission to go down the road of antidepressants, and it was a road that I really just didn't want to go down. So for me, cannabis has been somewhat of a lifesaver, really.
When did you start traveling?
Oh, traveling. So I've always loved to travel. My parents were not big travelers. We would go camping and that kind of stuff, but as soon as I had a partner, somebody to go with, go to Mexico, go to beaches, and that was my big thing. Go to resort, go and relax and sit in the sun. And then I started wanting to do a few other different things, and I was going to a lot of seminars. So when I went to the seminars, I would generally stay a few extra days, and so that's when I discovered things like couch surfing. Normally when I was traveling to these programs, I was on my own, so I just started doing different experiences for my travel. And then about 5.5 years ago, I lost my husband to suicide, and so it was kind of one of those hits that shake your world. And I think for 2 years I pretty much shut down, and then in the third year I decided I was going to hit one of my bucket list items, and that was something that 15 years has been sitting on my bucket list, was to go whitewater rafting in Chile in the Furulufu River. And so I booked the trip without even thinking about it, and then I looked at the airplane ticket and I thought, oh my god, this is way further than I thought. I don't want to go for just 10 days, so I decided a month. That was really stretching for me, and did that, and then booked a ticket to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and so it would have been about a 2-month trip total, which was completely out of my realm. But for me, traveling became seriously a healing journey, because it was a place where I could figure out, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? What do I want to eat? And not always having to think about that other person. And it was also a place where I could cry a lot, and people that I didn't know could look at me, and I'd keep walking, and I didn't have to worry about what they thought. I didn't have to kind of shelter my friends and family from that energy. But sort of. But then it just became exploring and checking new places out and meeting new people, and so it's been a blast.
What were your concerns before you started traveling alone as a woman?
Honestly, safety is always a big one. Women have to think about it more just on an everyday basis, but when you're traveling to a new country, knowing if you're going to an area where you would be able to walk on your own, or so for me, every time I went to a new place, everywhere I checked in, it's like, I asked, what are the safe areas? What are the not safe areas? And in Chile, for example, at nighttime, as a woman, you don't go out by yourself, not during the time that I was there, because there was a lot of political unrest. I asked, and I guess I'm pretty confident, and I think I'm pretty street savvy for the most part. I look over my shoulders, I walk on the opposite side of the street if I see somebody I'm not comfortable with. But, as a woman, you do definitely have to consider those things.
Do you have any bad or good experiences?
Gosh, I have tons of good experience. I only have one really bad experience, and it was in a very small town. And it was just a creepy guy. There's a lot of them out there. But it was a situation where he was trying to take me one place, walking and talking, and I just walked straight to where my hotel was, and went in and actually reported him to the people at the counter, and by the time we went outside, he was gone. I think he pretty much knew, but that was the only bad, really. A lot of good, a lot of just amazing experiences. I like to travel where it's warm. I'm Canadian, so I don't like the winter. And so I'm January, February, March is when I typically will wander. And I honestly don't research the countries that I'm going to. I just get a good feeling, a good vibe, and I book. And then I might have the first week planned, maybe, and then I just kind of pick a spot, go there, talk to people, find out what's the next recommended spot, and it's been a really neat way of letting go of the control that is in the day-to-day life of owning a business. So it's been a really good way to let go.
Nice. Any advice for women who want to travel alone?
Honestly, just do it is probably the biggest thing I could say. And just check in where you're going. Find out, what the recommendations are of the people around. But go, enjoy, live, and find yourself. I think that's a good.
Thank you a lot.
I'm Jocelyn, and I'm 36, and I'm a full-time traveler right now.
Where are you from?
I'm from the Netherlands.
Why did you decide to travel?
I had a really bad year. A lot of things happened to me, and I had 2 car accidents, and ended a relationship, and it was getting so much that I went to Ecuador, to the Amazon, and then I got back and I decided to sell my house and my business and my car and start traveling.
So you sold everything that you have, and what is your plan? How long do you want to travel?
Actually, there's no plan. There's no plan. Obviously not until the money runs out, because I have to have some money when I get back to the Netherlands, because I think now I want to go back to the Netherlands, but it's not sure.
Do you think that was the right decision?
Yes.
Why?
It feels amazing. I have freedom. I don't have to go to work. I'm riding at the moment, and I get to meet a lot of nice people, like you, for example. See amazing views, nature, cultures, eating, experience. It's like a spiritual process for me.
Wasn't there a point where you thought, like, what I'm doing here, like I'm selling everything that I have, I'm like kinda losing my base. What were your thoughts about that, and how did you overcome them?
It's a funny question, but because most of the people in my country, like my friends and family, they were like, "Oh, what? You're selling your house, but that's your pension." So that was a lot of stability. But well, I sold the house for a really good price, so I have some stability, of course, to do this. But that's just the point, I guess. Like, I don't know where it's going, and that can be really terrifying and uncertain. But I think that's the thing. You need to trust life.
Do you remember what was like the last straw or the last motivation that you needed to do that and leave?
The ending of my political career.
Traveling alone as a woman, what were your concerns before you left?
I traveled before a lot, so I didn't had any concerns. I just went with it, just went with the flow. But if you mean like because I'm a woman traveling alone, if you go to certain countries, you always have to be careful. And but the biggest advice I can give women is like use your common sense. Like don't go out in the streets in a dangerous country at night, or be with somebody else if you still want to go. But yeah.
Okay, that's a nice advice. Do you have any bad story, any horror story?
The only thing that happened to me was in Ecuador. We were planning to. I was taking a taxi, and the taxi driver had my backpack on his back, and somebody like sneaked in the hostel. At one point, they started to argue with each other, and all of a sudden, he took a screwdriver and he wanted to steal my backpack. But it all ended really good, actually. But it was a little bit scary.
Okay, I can imagine.
Yeah.
What is your advice for women who want to travel alone, but who are missing the last drop of motivation?
I think like choose your country wisely. Don't go to places like, for example, I really wanted to visit Myanmar or Venezuela. Well, that's a no-go. Don't do that. Like follow the instructions of your government, but also, like I said, use your common sense. Don't go at night, like walking through the streets, if it's a dangerous country. But think about everything you do, and pay attention. Always pay attention and look around.
Last words to a woman who want to travel.
Wants to travel by herself, you mean?
Yes.
Follow your intuition. Like your intuition is always correct. Like listen to your body, listen to what it's telling you. Just feel. Of course, think about it when you do things or you want to do an activity or something. But use your intuition. Yeah.
Okay. One last question: do you recommend traveling alone for women?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Margo. I'm 27. I come from France. And yeah, traveling. Like to travel. I guess it's in my blood. My parents, they kind of maybe not got together, but they stayed together because they both love traveling, and they both got the traveling gene from their parents. So
When did you start traveling? What were the first difficulties? What was easy? What was not so easy?
booking a ticket is easy. It's just actually going on a plane in the first place. You're like, okay, I'm alone. I'm going halfway across the world. Like, I can be safe at home and make my own way, but you never know. Like, and I did that a few years ago. I actually booked a ticket, and I ended up going this year because I'm more like, I've traveled more in France as well, and yeah, I slept so many times in my van on my own.
What places would you recommend to women to start traveling?
Thailand.
Why?
Thailand is safe. Like, I mean, there's a kind of a respect towards travelers, where it's not in anyone's interest to steal or just take advantage. I mean, obviously there's probably places or like, but if you're smart enough, like, I don't know, don't get yourself in all kind of stupid situations, but you're good. Yeah.
Would you recommend traveling solo as a woman?
Yeah, definitely make your own way. I mean, you could travel with friends and everything, go with your girls or whatever, but like, no. I like to, like, if I want to go left, I go left. I want to go right, I go right. You don't have to debate anything. There's no arguments about like what restaurant you're gonna go to. It's just like, yeah, it's a whole healing process as well. Like, I mean, most of the time we grow up in a society where you can't just be fully yourself in it, and you just go abroad and like you kind of like take away the layers of yourself. You just start being more free, I think, and I like that. It takes a while at first couple of weeks. You're like kind of clinging on to yourself, old self. To like, no, it's like.
And was it the first time far away?
On my own.
Yes.
Honestly, that's the first time I actually go far. I've traveled a lot in France and England on my own, like in the middle of nowhere with my truck or just my backpack. But this is the first time I go across the oceans, you know? And I hope it's not the last, for sure.
One last sentence for women who are thinking about traveling but don't know if they should do it. One last sentence or advice for them.
Just take the ticket, jump on the plane. Once you get off, you get your first meal, have your first steps, and then it's so good, you know. You're halfway across the world, and you just taste the freedom. And then you kind of think about like all the women that don't actually have that freedom. Then you taste it even more.
Thank you.
Sophia from the UK, reporting in Shanghai. I'm 26 and I do PR back in the UK.
You're traveling for how long?
It's basically 3 weeks in total.
Traveling alone as a woman, so you're the only one who travels just for a shorter time. So had you any concerns before you left as a woman?
Yes, I did. It's my second solo trip, and my family were pretty worried about me coming here on my own, especially my mum and eldest sister in particular. They thought, you know, I'd get kidnapped and trafficked, like sold to the market. But
Were you?
I'm still here. I'm safe. Yes, and I did promise my mum like I'd be back home before it gets dark, but as you can see, it's nighttime here, so I kind of went against that promise. Mum, I hope you're not watching this.
I hope she's watching this.
But Thailand is just, it seems very safe. Like I don't see any issues. Everyone's super friendly. The scariest part is when you're on a night out and you're wondering how to get home, and then you've got to make sure that the taxi home is legit, and it's not just some random car off the street, off the road. It's from a reputable company, which will get you to your destination, and also making sure you've got friends in Thailand who have your number and maybe your relative's number, just in case.
You have a boyfriend, but you're traveling solo. Why are you traveling solo? How did you come to that decision? And what did your boyfriend think about that?
My first solo trip was to the Maldives in November, and honestly after that I realised just how special travelling alone is. You're forced to interact with people you wouldn't normally meet, and you meet so many different people from around the world, whereas if you're with company, you get complacent and there's not really a need to go out of your comfort zone and integrate. Thailand was actually my boyfriend's top destination, so I've made him a bit jealous by being here. He was completely fine with it. He was like, yeah, just have fun. Yeah, there's nothing more to say.
The supportive one, that's nice. Any advice for women who want to travel but who are lacking of motivation?
Life's short. Sometimes, yeah, life's short. The circumstances are never going to be perfect. It's either family, relationship, work, but just do it now rather than saying tomorrow. There's so much out there to see, different people to meet, and luckily due to globalization and travel being a bit easier, you can get to places quicker, so it's more convenient. With smartphones you can do anything you want. You got Google Maps. What's your excuse?
That's true. Thank you a lot. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was really fun to me to interview people. As I said, it was the first time, but it won't be the last time for sure. Let me know what you're interested in. Drop it in the comments below. I'll try to make content out of it. If you liked it, follow me, like, share, whatever. I will be very happy about that. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Jamil Entertainment. Thank you and have a nice day.